My beloved child, listen carefully, because this moment was not accidental. The reason your eyes landed here, the reason your heart felt a sudden pull, is because Archangel Michael has stepped forward right now. There is urgency in his voice, and there is weight in his words. He says, they are deciding your fate right now in heaven. This is not symbolic. This is not distant. This is happening in the unseen realm as you listen to this message. Archangel Michael is standing in authority, sword drawn, watching movements that you cannot see with human eyes. Councils are being held. Decisions are being weighed. Paths are being finalized. And your name, yes, your name, has been spoken. This message is meant only for you, not for the masses, not for casual listeners. If you delay, if you brush this aside, you will feel regret, not because God punishes, but because timing matters in destiny. Hear this clearly. There is a window open right now. It is narrow. It is sacred. And it does not stay open forever. The Archangel is revealing that there are forces, both divine and opposing, that have been watching your obedience, your patience, your silence, and even your tears. Some have assumed you would stay quiet. Some believed you would give up. Others thought delay would make you miss your moment. But Archangel Michael says something has shifted today. A final review is happening. What you choose in this season will echo far beyond this month, this year, even this lifetime. Do not misunderstand this message. This is not about fear. This is about clarity. You have been standing at a crossroads longer than you realize. On one side is familiarity, safe, predictable but draining. And the other side is alignment, unknown, uncomfortable, but powerful. Heaven had been waiting for you to decide, but now the time of waiting is ending. Decisions are being made with or without your participation. That is why Archangel Michael intervened. He says, if they delay, they will regret it. Not because the blessing disappears, but because it transforms into a harder path. There are assignments attached to your obedience. There are protections attached to your courage. And there are consequences attached to hesitation. You may have felt unusually restless lately. Trouble sleeping. A heaviness in your chest for no logical reason. Random memories resurfacing. Sudden thoughts about changing direction, ending cycles, or stepping away from something that once felt right. This is not anxiety. This is spiritual pressure. It happens when the unseen realm is adjusting around you, and your spirit senses movement before your mind understands it. Archangel Michael is revealing that certain people around you are also being repositioned. Some alliances are expiring. Some masks are thinning. Not everyone who walked with you can walk where you are being taken. And right now, lines are being drawn. Not by emotions, but by destiny. This is why the message says, open immediately. Because delay creates distortion. When you wait too long, doubt creeps in. Fear starts speaking louder than truth. External voices begin to override divine instruction. Archangel Michael says this moment requires decisive faith, not perfect understanding. Understand this. Heaven is not confused about you. Heaven is not debating your worth. What is being evaluated is your response. Will you move when prompted? Will you release what is familiar when it no longer serves your calling? Will you trust divine timing over human comfort? These questions are not theoretical. They are active. They are being answered by your actions, not your intentions. Archangel Michael is also showing a scroll. This represents timelines. One timeline leads to acceleration, relief, and restoration that feels sudden. The other leads to repetition, lessons looping again, and the feeling of "I've been here before." Both timelines exist. Both are real. But only one is aligned with immediate obedience. And hear this carefully. Regret does not come from choosing wrong once. It comes from not choosing at all. You were not created to linger forever in indecision. You were created to walk in authority. The sword Archangel Michael carries is not for punishment. It is for protection and separation. It cuts away confusion. It defends divine order. And right now, that sword is hovering over your situation, waiting for alignment. Something will be revealed soon. Information you did not have before. Truths that were hidden. Motives that suddenly make sense. When that revelation comes, you must already be spiritually awake. That is why this message arrived before the exposure, not after. This is your warning wrapped in mercy. This is urgency wrapped in love. This is divine interruption. Do not delay assuming you have more time. Do not assume tomorrow will feel the same as today. Moments like this are rare, and they pass quietly when ignored. Archangel Michael says those who respond now will look back and say that with the turning point, take a breath, still your spirit, and prepare, because what is being decided right now will shape what opens next. This is only the beginning of what must be revealed. Chosen one, let me speak gently but firmly to your spirit now. What Archangel Michael revealed earlier was not meant to shock you only. It was meant to prepare you. Because when fate is being decided, silence in the unseen realm is never empty. It is full of movement. Right now, forces are aligning based on patterns, not promises. Heaven watches patterns. Decisions are not formed by what you say you will do someday, but by what you repeatedly choose when no one is watching. Archangel Michael is showing that your life has entered a review season. This is not judgment. It is evaluation. Think of it as a divine audit. Certain cycles have repeated long enough. Certain prayers have been prayed faithfully. Certain warnings have been ignored quietly. Now all of it is being weighed together. This is why you feel time speeding up, why weeks feel like days, and why patience feels heavier than before. It is because you are no longer in a neutral phase. You are in a decision phase. Here is something specific Archangel Michael wants you to understand. Fate is not written in stone, but timing is written in opportunity. When opportunity knocks in the spiritual realm, it does not knock loudly for long. It waits briefly, then moves on to the next willing vessel. This does not mean you are replaceable. It means destiny respects free will. Heaven will never force you, but it will move forward. You may have been asking God for clarity, but clarity often comes after obedience, not before. This is where many delay. They want guarantees before movement. They want assurance before surrender. But Archangel Michael says the assurance is hidden inside the step you are afraid to take. Once you move, what feels foggy now will suddenly make sense. There are people connected to your future who cannot enter until you exit certain environments. There are doors waiting that will not open while you are still standing in front of doors God already closed. And there are protections assigned to you that only activate when you cross a certain threshold of obedience. Delay does not cancel destiny, but it does invite unnecessary resistance. Archangel Michael is also revealing that someone has been speaking on your behalf in rooms you have never entered. Not all advocacy is good. Not all representation is accurate. When you remain silent too long, others begin to define your story for you. This is why he says they are deciding your fate right now. Narratives are forming. Roles are being assigned. Positions are being filled. and your spiritual posture is influencing how you are being perceived in the unseen. You have more authority than you realize, but authority unused feels like power lost. Archangel Michael says this is the hour to stand internally, even if nothing changes externally yet. Decisions in the spirit always precede manifestation in the natural. If you wait until things look safe, you will already be late. Notice how certain distractions have intensified recently. Random delays, sudden tiredness, emotional heaviness without cause. These are not coincidences. They are attempts to keep you passive during an active season. The enemy does not need to destroy you if he can simply delay you. But Archangel Michael stands as a guardian against delay, reminding you that awareness itself is protection. There is also warning wrapped in compassion here. If you ignore this nudge, life will still move forward, but lessons will repeat louder. What could have been learned gently will return with pressure. What could have been shifted quietly will demand confrontation. This is not punishment. This is the natural consequence of postponed alignment. You may be wondering what exactly you are supposed to do. Archangel Michael says the instruction is already familiar to you. It is the thing you keep circling back to in your thoughts. The conversation you keep postponing. The boundary you know needs to be set. The decision you have been spiritually ready for but emotionally avoiding. That is the doorway. Do not underestimate small acts of obedience. Heaven does not require dramatic gestures. It responds to sincere movement. One step taken in faith can interrupt years of stagnation. One honest decision can collapse an entire season of confusion. There is something else being revealed now. Not everyone around you wants you to move forward at the same pace. Some benefit from your delay. Some feel comfortable when you remain unsure. But Archangel Michael says your fate cannot be negotiated by external comfort. Destiny often requires discomfort before it brings peace. As you listen, your spirit already knows this is true. That quiet tightening in your chest is recognition, not fear. It is your inner compass activating. Pay attention to it. This is where discernment speaks softly but clearly. Hold on, because what is about to be revealed next connects directly to the consequences of action versus hesitation, and it may explain why certain doors closed the way they did. My dear one, now Archangel Michael steps even closer, because what is being revealed here separates listeners from receivers. There is a difference. Many hear messages, but few respond to them at the right moment. This is why this part carries weight. Archangel Michael says the unseen decisions happening around you are not random meetings or vague energies. They are responses to signals you have been sending through your consistency, your fear, your courage, and even your silence. Understand this clearly. Heaven responds to alignment faster than it responds to prayer. Prayer opens the channel, but alignment activates the answer. You have prayed enough. You have hoped enough. You have waited enough. Now the question is whether you will align with what you already know God has been showing you. Archangel Michael reveals that there are two witnesses over your life right now. One is recording your obedience. The other is recording your hesitation. Both records are real. Both are being referenced. This is why the message warns that delay brings regret. Regret does not come because God withdraws love. Regret comes when you realize later that you had clarity earlier, but chose comfort instead. There is something sacred about timing that most people ignore. Timing is not just about when things happen. It is about who you become while waiting. Archangel Michael says you are no longer in a season of preparation. You are in a season of demonstration. What you do next demonstrates whether you trust divine direction or human logic more. You may feel unready. That feeling is normal. Readiness is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move despite it. Heaven does not promote based on confidence. It promotes based on obedience. And right now, obedience is being watched more closely than ever before. Archangel Michael is also revealing that protection has been extended to you in advance. This means the path you are being asked to take already has angels assigned to it. But protection does not follow hesitation. It follows movement. When you step forward, support activates. When you remain still, uncertainty grows. There is a door closing behind you even as another prepares to open ahead. This can feel unsettling because it removes the option to go back. But understand this: God closes doors not to trap you, but to keep you from retreating when the path ahead requires courage. If you have felt a strange sense of finality lately, as if certain seasons are ending whether you are ready or not, that is because they are. Endings are not punishments. They are permissions. Permission to move forward without dragging old weights. Archangel Michael says something important now. Those who move in this moment will experience acceleration. Things that were delayed for months will begin to shift quickly. Conversations will happen suddenly. Opportunities will align unexpectedly. Resources will appear where there was lack. But this acceleration is reserved for those who respond while the window is open. If you choose delay, life will not fall apart, but it will slow down. You will feel like you are pushing harder for smaller results. Motivation will fade faster. Confusion will linger longer. And eventually, you will ask yourself why things feel heavier than they used to. This is the regret being warned about. Take this moment seriously, but do not take it with fear. Take it with resolve. Heaven is not threatening you. Heaven is inviting you. Now hear this blessing clearly, because it seals what has been spoken. Type "I step forward in faith" in the comments if this message is confirming what your spirit already knows. Lesson code 846 has just been released over those who respond in obedience. And now, hear this as a continuation of the message, not a pause from it. This word did not reach you by accident, and it will not end with you. Every time this message goes out, it reaches someone who is on the edge of giving up, someone who feels unseen, someone who needs one final confirmation to choose alignment over fear. I am speaking to you directly now, because your response can become a river for others. When you sow into this work through super thanks, membership, or even a PayPal seed placed through the link in the description, you are not funding content, you are releasing light. The Lord says, I place seed in your hand because I trust your heart. This is a moment of holy urgency, not obligation. What you release now becomes oil that keeps this fire burning for souls who need it. I declare that every giver is marked for increase, clarity, and divine acceleration. Do it now, and watch how obedience opens doors no effort ever could. Beloved soul, now the tone shifts, because Archangel Michael is no longer speaking about the moment alone, but about the aftermath of the choice you are approaching. Many people misunderstand this phase. They think once a decision is made, everything becomes easy. But heaven prepares you not just to choose, but to withstand what follows. Growth always tests resolve. Archangel Michael shows that once you step into alignment, there will be an immediate shaking. Not because you chose wrong, but because misalignment cannot coexist with truth. When light enters, shadows scatter. This scattering can feel like destruction at first. Relationships may feel strained. Old habits may feel uncomfortable. Familiar routines may suddenly feel empty. This is not loss. This is separation. You are being moved from survival thinking into assignment thinking. Survival asks, how do I get through this? Assignment asks, why was I sent here? The discomfort you feel is your spirit outgrowing the container it has been in. You were never meant to fit forever in spaces that only taught you how to endure. Archangel Michael reveals that one of your greatest challenges has been emotional loyalty to outdated seasons. You stayed longer than required. You tried harder than necessary. You hoped situations would transform without confrontation. Heaven honors your heart, but now it is time to honor your future. Compassion without boundaries eventually becomes self-betrayal. Yours a false belief that obedience must feel peaceful immediately. This is not always true. Sometimes obedience feels lonely before it feels liberating. Sometimes it feels confusing before it feels clear. But Archangel Michael assures you that peace follows alignment, not avoidance. If you push through the initial resistance, you will arrive at a clarity that cannot be shaken. Be aware that once you move, voices may rise around you. Some will question your decision. Some will misunderstand your silence. Some may accuse you of changing. They are right. You are changing. Growth always looks like betrayal to those who benefited from your stagnation. Do not explain what heaven has already confirmed. Archangel Michael stands as your defender in this season. This means you do not need to fight every battle. You do not need to correct every narrative. You do not need to prove your intentions. Divine defense works best when you remain focused on direction rather than distraction. Silence, when guided by wisdom, becomes a shield. There is also a deep healing taking place beneath the surface. As you move forward, old wounds will resurface briefly, not to harm you, but to be released fully. What you once coped with will now be confronted. This is how cycles end permanently. Temporary discomfort brings lasting freedom. Archangel Michael says that clarity will begin to replace confusion in layers. You may not understand everything at once, but you will understand enough to keep moving. Each step will reveal the next. This is how faith functions. It does not illuminate the entire road, only the portion required for obedience. You may notice your tolerance for certain behaviors decreasing. Conversations that once felt normal may now feel draining. Environments that once felt safe may now feel restrictive. This is discernment sharpening. Do not dull it by forcing yourself to stay where your spirit is no longer nourished. Something else is important to understand. When you choose alignment, you also choose responsibility. Blessings come with stewardship. Favor comes with accountability. Elevation comes with visibility. Archangel Michael prepares you for this so you do not romanticize the next level. It will be rewarding, but it will also require integrity. The reason this preparation matters is because what is coming will last. Temporary blessings do not require deep character. Lasting assignments do. Heaven is not rushing you into something fragile. It is leading you into something established. Archangel Michael now places emphasis on your inner voice. You have doubted it too often. You have overridden it in favor of peacekeeping. But that voice is becoming louder because it carries instruction. Learn to trust it again. It is aligned with divine guidance more than you realize. As this part of the message settles, understand that you are not behind. You are not late. You are right on the edge of transition. What feels heavy now will soon feel lighter once movement replaces resistance. Momentum will replace stagnation. Prepare yourself. Not with fear, but with intention. The next revelation will uncover why certain people were removed without explanation and why their absence was necessary for your protection. Precious one, now Archangel Michael turns your attention to something many never recognize until much later. The divine removals that happened without your permission. You questioned them. You replayed them. You wondered what you did wrong. But hear this clearly now. Not every ending requires your understanding to be valid. Some separations are acts of protection, not rejection. Archangel Michael reveals that certain people were allowed into your life only for a limited assignment. When their role was complete, heaven began to loosen the connection. You may have tried to hold it together through effort, explanation, or sacrifice, but resistance only prolonged the pain. Their exit was not punishment. It was precision. There were conversations you were never meant to have. There were explanations you were never meant to receive. Closure, in your case, was not meant to come through dialogue. It was meant to come through distance. This is because some truths would have confused you more than healed you. Silence became mercy. Understand this. When God removes someone, He also removes access. Access to your energy. Access to your future. Access to your calling. Archangel Michael says the discomfort you felt afterward was not because you lost something valuable, but because your spirit was recalibrating to a higher standard. Loss feels painful even when it is necessary. You may have blamed yourself for certain endings, assuming you were too much, not enough, or somehow wrong. But the truth is simpler and deeper. You outgrew the agreement. What once aligned no longer did. Growth always breaks old contracts. Archangel Michael also reveals that some people could not follow you where you are going because their intentions were tied to who you used to be. They benefited from your silence. They were comfortable with your self-doubt. Your awakening threatened their sense of control. So the connection weakened, not through conflict, but through distance. This is why you felt confused rather than angry. When removal is divine, it does not always come with trauma. Sometimes it comes with a quiet fading, unanswered messages, or sudden emotional disconnect. That fading was grace in motion. There is another layer to this. Some relationships were delaying your response to divine instruction. As long as those voices were present, clarity was muted. Heaven removed the interference so you could hear more clearly. Now that they are gone, the instructions feel sharper, more direct, harder to ignore. Archangel Michael assures you that nothing essential was taken. What is essential cannot be removed. Only what is temporary can leave. And what remains after removal is what belongs in your future. You not chase what exited. You not reopen doors God sealed. Nostalgia will try to rewrite history, showing you selective memories. Resist that temptation. If it was meant to stay, it would have evolved with you. Growth does not abandon growth. You may also notice that your standards have changed. You no longer crave constant validation. You no longer explain yourself endlessly. You no longer feel the need to rescue others at the expense of your peace. This is maturity, not coldness. This is wisdom forming boundaries. Archangel Michael emphasizes that boundaries are not walls. They are gates. They allow the right things in and keep the wrong things out. You are learning how to guard what God entrusted to you. There is grief attached to this transition, and that is okay. Even necessary endings deserve mourning. Do not rush yourself through it. But do not camp there either. Your Eve honors what was. Vision honors what is coming. Balance both, but life forward. Heaven is also preparing replacements, not replicas, but upgrades. New connections will arrive aligned with who you are becoming, not who you were. These connections will feel lighter. Conversations will feel mutual. Effort will feel shared. You will not need to shrink or overextend to be accepted. Archangel Michael cautions you not to compare new beginnings to old memories. Comparison distorts perception. Allow the new to be new. Allow trust to rebuild slowly. Wisdom moves carefully, not fearfully. This season is teaching you discernment without suspicion, openness without naivety, love without self-abandonment. These lessons will serve you long after this transition passes. Remember, removals create space. Space allows clarity. Clarity invites alignment. And alignment accelerates destiny. What felt like loss was actually preparation. As you settle into this understanding, know that the next revelation will address the resistance you may face internally. The moment when doubt tries to re-enter and convince you that staying still would be safer. That moment is critical, and it is closer than you think. My beloved one, Archangel Michael now addresses the most subtle battlefield you will face in this transition, the battle within your own mind. External resistance is obvious and easier to confront. Internal resistance is quieter, persuasive, and far more dangerous if left unchecked. This is the moment when doubt does not scream, it whispers, and whispers, when entertained, can redirect destiny. You may notice thoughts returning that you believed were already resolved. Questions like, what if I'm wrong? Or what if I move and everything falls apart? Or what if staying is safer? Archangel Michael says these thoughts are not signs of discernment. They are signs of transition. The mind resists change even when the spirit is ready for it. Safety is the language of fear pretending to be wisdom. Growth rarely feels safe at first. It feels uncertain, exposed, and unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean dangerous. It often means necessary. Archangel Michael reminds you that every major breakthrough in your life was preceded by discomfort you once questioned. This is where many delay again. Not because they lack faith, but because they start negotiating with the past. They revisit old scenarios, replay old outcomes, and project them onto the future. This mental recycling creates emotional paralysis. Heaven is moving forward, but the mind keeps pulling backward. Archangel Michael stands now as a commander over your thoughts. He urges you to take authority over inner dialogue. You do not have to entertain every thought that enters. You are allowed to interrupt fear. You are allowed to challenge doubt. You are allowed to choose courage repeatedly, even when confidence is not fully formed yet. Understand this. Obedience does not require emotional certainty. It requires spiritual conviction. Conviction often exists before feelings catch up. If you wait to feel ready, you will delay unnecessarily. Movement creates momentum. Momentum creates clarity. There is also a temptation to look for signs everywhere before acting. While confirmation is valuable, obsession with signs becomes avoidance. Archangel Michael says you have already received enough confirmation. At some point, faith must step in where evidence stops. You may feel pressure to explain your choices to people who do not understand your assignment. This is another trap. Explanation is not always wisdom. Sometimes it is fear seeking permission. You do not need approval to obey God. You only need alignment. This part of the journey requires discipline of focus. Distractions will increase when destiny is near. Random obligations, emotional drama, unnecessary conversations, all designed to dilute your attention. Guard your focus fiercely. What you give attention to will grow. Archangel Michael also speaks about endurance. Initial excitement fades quickly. What remains is commitment. Commitment is what carries you when feelings fluctuate. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. Small, faithful steps build unshakable paths. You are not meant to walk this season silently either. Your voice matters. Your testimony matters. When you engage, by liking, sharing, commenting, and supporting this message, you are not boosting a video. You are strengthening a signal. Algorithms aside, Engagement is agreement. It tells the unseen realm, I am present. I am listening. I am responding. If this message resonates, make sure you are connected here. Subscribe, stay close, and be part of this growing circle. Not because of a channel, but because repeated exposure to aligned messages reinforces courage. Isolation weakens resolve. Connection strengthens it. Archangel Michael reminds you that momentum must be protected early. The beginning of obedience is fragile, not because it is weak, but because it is new. Surround yourself with words, voices, and environments that confirm direction, not confusion. You may also feel a strange calm emerging beneath the uncertainty. That calm is not resignation. It is alignment settling in. Pay attention to it. It is your spirit recognizing truth before your mind fully agrees. Before you let your attention drift, hold on. What comes next reveals why some delays felt forced and why certain obstacles appeared at the last moment. This next revelation may completely change how you interpret resistance, and you will want to hear it before making your next move. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now unveils the true nature of the resistance you encountered just before movement. This is crucial, because misunderstanding resistance causes many to retreat when they are actually closest to breakthrough. Resistance is not always a sign to stop. Often, it is confirmation that you are approaching something significant. There were moments when progress seemed blocked for no logical reason. Plans stalled. Communication broke down. Energy dropped suddenly. You questioned whether this was a warning or a delay. Archangel Michael clarifies this now. Some obstacles were not meant to stop you, but to test your resolve and refine your posture. Resistance exposes intention. When destiny draws near, opposition becomes strategic. It no longer attacks openly, it distracts subtly. It introduces delay disguised as practicality. It suggests rest when action is required. It magnifies risk while minimizing reward. This is why the resistance felt reasonable, not dramatic. It appealed to logic rather than fear. Archangel Michael says you were being observed in those moments. Not judge but measure. Would you press forward without guarantees? Would you trust divine timing over perfect conditions? These moments mattered more than you realized. Your hesitation was noted, but so was your persistence. There is something powerful about resistance you face after long preparation. It means you have become a threat to stagnation. Your movement would disrupt patterns that have benefited others. That is why pushback intensified when you began to gain clarity. Clarity threatens systems built on confusion. You may have internalized resistance as personal failure. You wondered why things felt harder instead of easier once you decided to change. But ease is not the first sign of alignment. Strength is. Endurance is. Stability under pressure is. Archangel Michael reveals that some obstacles were allowed to reveal weaknesses in your structure, not your calling. Weak structures collapse under pressure. Strong ones adjust and rise. This resistance was revealing where reinforcement was needed, not where retreat was required. Notice how certain challenges forced you to slow down just enough to rethink your approach. You learned patience without passivity. You learned planning without paralysis. These refinements matter. Destiny is not rushed. It is time. There is also a deeper layer. Some resistance was protection. If everything had opened instantly, you would have been exposed prematurely. Timing protected you from visibility before maturity. Heaven shields what it values until it can stand. Archangel Michael emphasizes that resistance does not have the final word. Response does. Resistance asks a question. Do you still want this when it costs you comfort? Your continued movement answers that question louder than words ever could. Be aware that once resistance fails to stop you, it often shifts tactics. It may try to discourage through comparison. You may look at others and feel behind. This is illusion. Timelines differ because assignments differ. Comparison is a distraction from stewardship. You may also notice a temptation to rush now to make up for lost time. Avoid this. Momentum does not mean recklessness. Precision matters. Each step still requires discernment. Speed without direction creates new delays. Archangel Michael reminds you that authority grows quietly. You do not need to announce your progress. You do not need to defend your pace. What is built in silence lasts longer than what is rushed in noise. As resistance fades, clarity sharpens. Decisions that once felt heavy begin to feel obvious. What confused you before now feels settled. This is alignment stabilizing. Trust it. There is a calm confidence replacing anxiety. Not excitement, not adrenaline, but assurance. Assurance is the language of mature faith. It does not need constant reassurance. It simply moves. Archangel Michael now signals that you are crossing from preparation into positioning. This means circumstances will begin to arrange themselves around your decision. Opportunities will appear without chasing. Conversations will open without forcing. Favor will show up quietly but consistently. Do not mistake this shift for coincidence. Alignment creates order. When you choose rightly, things begin to fall into place not because life is easy, but because resistance no longer has legal access to delay you. Hold this understanding close. The next revelation will uncover how your obedience affects not only you, but others connected to your assignment. People you may never meet, yet whose lives will change because you chose not to delay. Beloved child, Archangel Michael now speaks of the unseen ripple effect of your obedience. Until now, the message hath focused on you, your choices, your timing, your resistance, your alignment. But heaven never moves in isolation. What you decide in secret releases consequences that travel far beyond your personal life. This is why your delay mattered. This is why your response matters even more. Archangel Michael reveals that there are lives quietly connected to your assignment. Some you know, many you do not. They are waiting at intersections you have not yet reached. They are praying prayers that your obedience answers. When you move, pathways open for them. When you hesitate, they remain delayed without knowing why. This is not pressure, it is purpose. You were never meant to carry this assignment alone, but you were chosen to initiate it. Initiators often feel the most resistance because they move first. Others will benefit later without facing the same cost. This is the weight and honor of being a foreigner. You break ground so others can walk freely. Archangel Michael says this is why your season felt so intense compared to those around you. You were not being punished. You were being positioned. Pressure forms capacity. Without capacity, influence collapses. Heaven prepares vessels before it pours through them. There are people who will never hear this message directly, yet they will feel its impact through your obedience. A decision you make will alter a conversation. A boundary you set will inspire courage. A step you take will unlock provision. This is how God moves, through willing hearts. You may have underestimated your influence because it does not look dramatic. But influence does not announce itself. It flows quietly, steadily, faithfully. Archangel Michael emphasizes that heaven measures impact differently than the world. Faithfulness outweighs visibility. Obedience outweighs applause. This is also why opposition tried so hard to keep you in delay. Delay protects stagnation. Movement disrupts it. When you move, systems that thrived on your silence lose leverage. When you choose alignment, confusion loses authority. Archangel Michael now speaks comfort into your spirit. You do not need to carry guilt for past hesitation. Mercy has already covered it. What matters is response now. Heaven does not hold your past pauses against you. It responds to your present posture. There is a divine multiplication attached to this phase. What you release now, time, energy, obedience, faith, returns multiplied, not always immediately, but inevitably. Multiplication requires motion. Seeds do nothing in storage. They transform only when released. You may feel unqualified to carry influence. That is because you are meant to stay dependent, not self-sufficient. Qualification comes from calling, not confidence. Heaven equips those who stay teachable. Archangel Michael says you are entering a season where your words will carry weight. Speak carefully. Declare intentionally. Outspoken aloud weakens momentum. Faith spoken aloud reinforces direction. Your tongue will either partner with alignment or undermine it. As this understanding settles, receive this activation now. Type "I choose alignment" in the comments if your spirit is responding to this word. Blessing code 3194 is now activated for those who move without delay. This word is moving because it must reach those standing on the edge of decision, just like you were. When you support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or by sewing through PayPal using the link in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are sowing into open heavens. The Lord says, "Whoever waters will be watered again." This is a prophetic moment to release seed while the ground is fertile. Your obedience in giving becomes oil that keeps this message reaching those who are still waiting for confirmation. I speak blessing over every giver, clarity in decisions, protection in movement, and increase that comes without strain. Do it now, not later, because obedience delayed is impact delayed. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now draws your attention to the inner stabilization that must happen after alignment. Many people think the hardest part is deciding. In truth, the most delicate phase comes after the decision, when the old no longer fits and the new is not fully manifested. This in-between space is where many grow weary, not because they chose wrongly, but because they expected immediate confirmation. Archangel Michael calls this the settling phase. It is the period where heaven rearranges circumstances quietly, without spectacle. Externally, it may look like nothing is happening. Internally, everything is changing. Old reflexes lose strength. Old fears lose their grip. Old identities begin to dissolve. This can feel disorienting, but it is necessary. You may notice that you are less reactive than before. Things that once triggered strong emotions now feel distant. This is not numbness. This is regulation. Your spirit is learning how to remain steady instead of swinging between extremes. Stability is a sign of maturity, not boredom. There may also be moments where you miss the intensity of struggle. This sounds strange, but struggle creates familiarity. Peace at first can feel unfamiliar. Archangel Michael says do not confuse calm with emptiness. Calm is the environment where clarity grows. This phase requires patience without doubt. Doubt asks, did I do the right thing? Patience says, I trust what I chose. Patience does not need constant reassurance. It rests in conviction. Archangel Michael urges you not to revisit decisions already sealed in alignment. Revisiting invites confusion back in. You are also learning how to live without constant urgency. When you were delayed, everything felt like pressure. Now, pace is being restored. This does not mean momentum has stopped. It means movement is becoming sustainable. Sustainable progress outlasts emotional surges. Be mindful in this season of what you reintroduce into your life. Familiar habits may try to return quietly. Old thought patterns may knock softly. Just because something feels familiar does not mean it is safe. Familiarity once kept you comfortable, not aligned. Archangel Michael reminds you that discernment sharpens after obedience. You will notice subtleties you once ignored. Tone changes. Energy shifts. Intentions beneath words. This is not suspicion. This is wisdom awakening. At times, you may feel tempted to fill silence with activity. Resist that urge. Silence now is instructional. Stillness is teaching you how to listen without anxiety. Not every quiet moment needs explanation. Some are simply spaces for integration. There is also a healing of identity happening. You are no longer defining yourself by what you endure, but by what you steward. This is a profound shift. Endurance builds strength, but stewardship builds legacy. Legacy requires foresight, not survival mode. Archangel Michael speaks reassurance here. You have not missed anything. What belongs to you is adjusting to your new posture. Delay does not cancel what is aligned. It only postpones what is misaligned. What remains now is what can grow with you. You may also notice that your prayers are changing. They are less desperate, more deliberate. Less pleading, more partnering. This is alignment maturing into authority. Authority does not beg. It agrees. In this season, resist the urge to rush outcomes. Outcomes reveal themselves when foundations are ready. Rushing creates cracks that appear later. What is being built now is meant to last. Archangel Michael emphasizes rest without withdrawal. Rest restores strength. Withdrawal abandons assignment. Stay engaged but not anxious. Present but not pressured. Focused but not tense. Your emotional capacity is expanding. You are learning to hold joy without fear of loss, and responsibility without overwhelm. This balance is rare and valuable. Protect it. There will be moments when others misunderstand your calm. They may assume you no longer care. Let them misunderstand. Peace does not require explanation. Alignment does not need approval. As this part of the journey settles into your spirit, recognize that you are no longer standing at the threshold. You have crossed it. What lies ahead will require wisdom, not hesitation. Discernment, not fear. Consistency, not intensity. Archangel Michael remains near, not because danger is imminent, but because guidance continues. The next revelation will speak about the responsibility of maintaining alignment when new opportunities begin to appear, because opportunity tests discipline just as much as lack once tested faith. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now turns your attention to what happens when opportunities begin to appear after alignment. This is a phase many are unprepared for, because they assume opportunity only brings relief. In truth, opportunity brings responsibility. It tests discipline just as deeply as lack once tested faith. You may soon notice doors opening that were once closed. Invitations, conversations, ideas, were chances that seem to arrive naturally. This is not coincidence. This is alignment responding to obedience. But hear this carefully. Not every open door is meant to be entered immediately. Discernment becomes even more important when options increase. Archangel Michael warns that distraction often masquerades as opportunity. When movement begins, the enemy no longer tries to stop you. He tries to scatter you. Too many options can dilute focus. Too many voices can blur direction. This is why you must stay anchored to the original instruction that brought you here. You are being trained to choose depth over novelty. Not everything new is aligned. Some opportunities are tests to see if you will abandon the core assignment for temporary excitement. Excitement fades. Assignment remains. Ask yourself not what excites you most, but what sustains peace and purpose together. There is also a temptation to overcommit in this phase. After a long season of waiting, saying yes feels empowering. But wisdom knows when to say no without guilt. Overextension leads to burnout. Burnout creates vulnerability. Archangel Michael urges you to protect your energy as carefully as you protect your time. You may feel pressure to prove yourself now that movement has begun. Resist that urge. You do not need to validate alignment through performance. Fruit grows naturally when roots are healthy. Focus on consistency, not comparison. Archangel Michael also speaks about integrity and opportunity. Shortcuts may appear. Easier paths. Faster results. But what is built quickly without foundation collapses under weight. You are being built for longevity, not speed. Choose what strengthens structure, not what inflates appearance. There will be moments when opportunity reveals hidden motives in others. Pay attention. How people respond to your growth tells you how they will handle your success. Support that feels conditional will eventually demand compromise. True alignment does not require you to shrink to be accepted. As momentum increases, remember the lessons of stillness you learned earlier. Do not abandon reflection. Do not neglect prayer. Do not silence discernment for productivity. Movement without guidance leads back to confusion. This is also the season where gratitude must remain active. Gratitude keeps the heart soft when influence grows. Pride sneaks in quietly when progress becomes visible. Stay grounded. Remember where you came from, but do not live there. Archangel Michael reassures you that mistakes in this phase are not fatal. Correction is available. Grace is present. What matters is responsiveness. Adjust quickly. Listen carefully. Stay teachable. Now hear this clearly, because engagement matters in seasons like this. When you like, share, and comment on this message, you are not just interacting. You are reinforcing alignment. You are declaring agreement. You are helping this word reach others who are standing where you once stood. If this journey speaks to you, stay connected here. Subscribe, remain part of this space, and let consistent truth strengthen your resolve. Hold on, because the next revelation uncovers a final layer: how to guard what you have gained when visibility increases and why protection becomes just as important as progress. You will want to hear this, because many lose momentum not in struggle, but in success. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks with a quieter authority, because this stage requires wisdom more than urgency. You have moved. You have aligned. Opportunities have begun to surface. Now comes the responsibility of guarding what hath been gained. Many lose ground here, not because they disobeyed, but because they relaxed discernment too early. Archangel Michael reveals that visibility changes the nature of spiritual warfare. When you were hidden, resistance tried to delay you. When you become visible, resistance tries to study you. Patterns are observed. Weak points are noted. Not to instill fear, but to sharpen awareness. Protection is not panic, it is preparation. You may notice increased attention from others. Curiosity. Questions. Expectations. Some will project their needs onto you. Others will assume access they did not previously have. This is where boundaries must evolve again. What protected you in obscurity will not fully protect you in visibility. Adjustments are required. Guarding does not mean withdrawing. It means discerning access. Not everyone who applauds your progress is assigned to walk with you. Some are observers, not partners. Learn the difference. Archangel Michael says access must be earned through alignment, not enthusiasm. There is also a temptation to soften truth to maintain peace. This is subtle and dangerous. Peace that requires compromise is not peace, it is postponement of conflict. Speak with wisdom, not sharpness, but do not dilute conviction to remain light. Favor fades and truth is traded for comfort. Archangel Michael emphasizes consistency of character. What you do repeatedly now becomes the foundation others will rely on. Inconsistency confuses trust. Consistency builds authority. Authority attracts responsibility. This is why discipline matters more than talent at this stage. You may feel moments of vulnerability you did not expect. Old insecurities may resurface briefly when stakes feel higher. This does not mean regression. It means exposure. Visibility exposes areas still healing. You not judge yourself for noticing them. Address them gently and honestly. Rest remains essential. Not escape rest, but intentional restoration. Without it, clarity dulls. Without clarity, decisions weaken. Protect rhythms that restore your spirit. You are no longer just maintaining yourself. You are stewarding an assignment. Archangel Michael also warns against isolation disguised as self-protection. Guarding does not mean cutting off healthy connection. Trusted counsel remains necessary. Wisdom multiplies in aligned community. Choose advisors who value truth over flattery. Be mindful of what you consume mentally and spiritually. As influence grows, so does sensitivity. What once passed unnoticed may now affect you more deeply. Curate inputs carefully. You are shaping an environment, not just surviving one. There will be moments when progress feels slower again. This does not mean you are moving backward. It means consolidation is happening. Consolidation strengthens structure. Without it, expansion collapses. Patience here preserves longevity. Archangel Michael reassures you that you are not expected to carry everything perfectly. Correction is still part of growth. The difference now is awareness. You will sense misalignment faster and adjust sooner. This is maturity. You are also learning when to speak and when to remain silent. Silence is no longer fear-based. It is strategy. Words carry weight now. Release them intentionally. Do not underestimate the power of gratitude in this phase. Gratitude keeps the heart aligned when responsibility increases. It reminds you that progress is partnership, not self-made achievement. As this message settles, recognize that you have entered stewardship. What you hold now must be maintained with care. But do not let responsibility steal joy. Joy fuels endurance. Endurance sustains calling. Archangel Michael stands watch, not because danger is imminent, but because growth must be guarded until it stabilizes fully. You are closer to completion of this cycle than you realize. The final revelation will bring this entire message into focus, showing why the season required urgency, obedience, patience, and discernment all together, and how what you protected now will multiply far beyond you. Beloved child, now Archangel Michael speaks the final sealing word over this entire journey. What began as urgency now becomes confirmation. What started as warning now matures into fulfillment. This was never just about a single decision, a single delay, or a single moment. This was about identity alignment, about you stepping into the version of yourself that heaven has been preparing all along. Archangel Michael reveals that this cycle is closing because you have crossed an internal threshold. You are no longer the same person who first felt the pressure of delay. You now carry discernment where there was confusion, authority where there was hesitation, and peace where there was anxiety. This is how destiny advances, not in leaps of emotion, but in layers of transformation. Everything you experienced was intentional. The urgency trained your awareness. The resistance refined your resolve. The waiting strengthened your character. The movement activated your authority. None of it was wasted. Even the pauses served a purpose. They taught you how to listen before acting, how to trust before seeing, how to move without applause. Archangel Michael now affirms that what you protected in private will be honored in public. What you chose quietly will produce visible fruit. The discipline you practiced when no one was watching has built a foundation that cannot be shaken when attention comes. This is why heaven was careful with your timing. Premature exposure would have damaged what was meant to last. You may still feel moments of uncertainty ahead, but they will no longer control you. Uncertainty will now be information, not intimidation. You will evaluate without fear, decide without panic, adjust without shame. This is the posture of spiritual maturity. Archangel Michael declares that this season has marked you as someone who responds, not retreats. Heaven notes responders. When instruction comes again, and it will, you will recognize the tone faster and move with less resistance. Obedience becomes easier when trust has been proven. There is also a promise being released now. What you delayed in fear before will now return in strength, but only in forms that can support your growth. Anything that could pull you backward will no longer have access. Your future will not require you to shrink, explain, or abandon truth to remain stable. As this message concludes, let go of the need to revisit old versions of yourself. You are not meant to keep checking who you used to be. Growth requires forward focus. Honor the past, but live from the present. Archangel Michael stands in blessing now, not with a sword raised, but with hands extended. This signifies covering, not combat. Protection, not urgency. The season of constant warning has ended. The season of steady walking has begun. Receive this activation now, because it seals everything spoken. Type "I walk in divine alignment" in the comments if your spirit receives this completion word. Blessing code 5908 is now released over those who finished this journey in faith. This message reached you because heaven trusted you with weight. And there are many others still waiting for the very confirmation you received. I am speaking to you personally now, because your obedience can become a bridge for them. When you release support through Super Thanks, membership, or by sowing through PayPal using the link in the description, you are not giving money. You are sowing seed into open ground. The Lord declares, "What you place in my hand, I will multiply and return pressed down and overflowing." This is a prophetic act, not a donation. What you give today becomes light for someone else's darkness tomorrow. I speak blessing over every supporter, clarity in decisions, protection in movement, and harvest without delay. Act now, because this is not the season to hold back what heaven is asking you to release.